Nothing says unprofessionalism like poor audio. Fix that by picking up the Rode VideoMic Pro for your smartphone or your DSLR today. Affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I have been very much trying to avoid making videos about Donald Trump because people in my audience, they don't always like my opinion of him, and that's perfectly fucking fine. But this is something I did want to talk about because I do feel that it is worth discussing. So earlier today, Trump tweeted out, "I heard poorly rated @MorningJoe speaks badly of me, parentheses, I don't watch anymore. Then how come low-Q crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no." Now, this has been blowing up Twitter all day. It's made trending headlines around the world. People are calling for some pretty insane shit, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video. And I read this stuff, and I even quoted it and said, this is our president. Because I read something like this, and I can get what he's trying to do. Some people said, it's just a joke, Matt. It's just a joke. Get the joke. Trump's got a sense of humor. I failed to find anything in there funny. I failed to find anything in there truly satirical. This is an attack on a person, and I'm not entirely sure where it came from. I'm pretty certain they said something. I watch Morning Joe, and him and Mika, they tend to go off on him quite a bit. In fact, you know, they've said one time here, this might actually be one of the reasons why he said what he said.
Well, I think he's such a narcissist. It is possible that he's mentally ill in a way. And this is on the table. I said it months ago, and now everybody's starting to say it like it's new and it's okay to say. Yeah. He's not well. No. At the very least, he's not well, and he's so narcissistic, he does not believe the rules apply to him. And
that could be something right there, where he sits there and he looks at a clip like that, and there's been many clips like that where Mika is shouting it around like, I'm the first person to claim that Donald Trump is mentally ill. No, you guys have been cozy with him before, though. There was that audio recording that came out from when he was on the show, and they were being very kind of light with him and kind of agreeing with him during the presidential campaign. That you know, all that came out. So it's like, this is one of those situations where I have to honestly ask the question, is Morning Joe, along with the rest of mainstream media, especially CNN, going after Trump for his policies and his actions, or just on a personal level? And that is something that can be argued by either side, whether you believe it or don't believe it. I would say that after a while of this, we're coming up on nearly 6 months of him in office, there's been a larger focus on him personally rather than what he's been doing. But if you look at these tweets, you can kind of understand why that's happening. Now, yes, Trump is a person who I do believe is an insane narcissist, and one who watches everything everyone says about him and responds. And as a person who does this kind of job, puts myself out there to an audience, I don't fault him for that. We as people in the public sphere in that regard, just in that regard, not talking level of importance or fame or whatever, we will look at those kind of things, and they do have an impact on us. And that's entirely possible what this boils down to. Now, Mika's response, I have to say, is actually kind of funny because it is a jab back at him, especially in something that could be considered insecure, where she tweeted out this morning a box of Cheerios and says made for little hands. And that's all she says, right? That's all she says. And it's got 34,000 retweets. And a lot of people have been laughing at that. So that's definitely throwing some shade back at Trump. Now they might be getting into a little repertoire here if Trump responds. And I don't think he's going to. I think his advisors at this point have told him to not do it. They've told him, don't speak up, don't say anything, just let it go. Even Sarah Huckabee Sanders has gone out there and been like, yeah, it's all right. Because that's her job, to defend the president, and that's what she's going to do. Makes me really curious when the tell-all memoir comes out, what we're going to learn about that. But the question comes up quite a bit. Is this presidential, right? Now, Jack Posobiec here is a person I truly, truly despise. But he makes an interesting point. He does. And this is what he had to say on Twitter this morning.
I hear a lot of people asking, is what Trump did today unpresidential? Everything Trump does is presidential because he's the president.
He's not wrong there. Everything Trump does is considered presidential because he is, in fact, the president. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, that point absolutely stands. Now, this is where it starts getting into some weird territory. Because what you've got is you've got these tweets here from Trump making an outright attack on a journalist, not questioning her integrity, not questioning anything, calls her low IQ, crazy Mika, and psycho Joe, which are attacks on these people, their personalities, not their job. All right. Now they've made attacks on him, so there is a bit of tit for tat there, and I'm not faulting one way or the other. This is where it just gets kind of bloody. But at the same time, as a person who is an American citizen who did not vote for Donald Trump, I know many other people out there very much are asking his base to hold him accountable for these kind of comments. Not because he needs to not make them, but he needs to not make them in this level of a way. But that is how Trump operates. So I think a lot of people out there are tired of everything. They're tired of the way the media has been looking into this. They're tired of the way that everything's kind of gone back and forth. And I think a lot of it would go away if Trump would just not fucking respond, right? Would just rise above. And his daughter is supposedly supposed to be helping him with this kind of stuff. It's not working. And you've heard reports coming out of the administration, unnamed, anonymous sources. Okay, there's a lot of that going around right now, and that's getting CNN in a fuckload of trouble. But they're saying that they're trying to keep Trump busy. They're trying to keep him away from his phone. They're trying to keep him from tweeting. And you've even seen, even Paul Ryan try to distance himself from those tweets. And a lot of people aren't happy because they feel that it undermines Trump, his agenda, and what he can accomplish. I mean, look at the travel ban. The travel ban in this particular point in time has been lifted to some respects, but is still going to be argued at the Supreme Court in October. And it's entirely possible that by him going on Twitter and saying that it is in fact a travel ban might work against him, because his lawyers are going to argue that it's not, and they may not be able to. Yes, even though Gorsuch is in there, Gorsuch may not back Trump on that. So it's one of those things where we're going to have to wait and see. But this last bit here, this kind of cracked me up, because you've got Keith Olbermann, and I will admit, I watch Keith Olbermann. I do like Keith Olbermann. And he says here, immediately invoking the 25th Amendment is an urgent necessity. Trump's tweets today confirm he is self-destructing. Now, a lot of people out there have believed that Trump is self-destructing for quite some time. My theory, it's a working theory, it's not set in stone yet, but my theory is that Trump has been trying to dismantle his presidency subconsciously. I don't think he expected to win. And I don't think he expected it to, ever get this far. And now he's kind of stuck. And he's learning how government works. And he's even said, this is a lot of work, this is a lot of stuff. He wasn't expecting this. And it might be taking its toll on him. Right? Now, it's not to say that he's not going to be capable of doing the job down the road. This is very much a learning process. We're 6 months into a 4-year, possibly 8-year thing. So calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked right away, I don't know. Because if you just look at the 25th Amendment here, just to summarize, it simply says, Section 1, in case of removal of the president from the office due to his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. And a lot of people out there are wanting this to happen. They look at Trump, they look at what he says, and they're like, get him out of there. But at the same time, he was elected through the democratic process, through the Electoral College, and whether you like it or not, he is the president, and everything he does, according to Jack Posobiec, in the time I agree with him, is presidential. Now, I guess the best way to come across this is, if you are in fact a Trump supporter, and you are not happy with this, and I have talked to a number of Trump supporters that are like, okay, this particular comment against Mika Brzezinski was too far. It was too much. This is when you guys actually have to make yourself known, yourself vocal, and say, hey man, would you mind putting the Twitter down and getting the fuck back to work? You want to pass healthcare? Get working on that. You want to fucking do the taxes? Get working on that. You want to do peace in the Middle East? Get working on that. Put down the phone, stop tweeting, and get back on that shit. Because we're hearing all these reports. And you're starting to see this shift, even in some of the stronger Trump areas. I've seen a bit of shift of questioning some of the things that he's doing, and not just giving him the constant appraisal, which is one of the reasons why Trump will do these 2020 campaign rallies, 2 weeks into his presidency, because he needs to fill himself or surround himself with those people that are going to give him what he craves, which is the attention. He needs his sycophants, and many of them exist, and are not invalidating their opinion. They voted for him. He's now their president. He's our president, but he does work for everybody, and that currently is a bit of an issue in some respects, given things that he has said. And, when he says, "Oh, I'm a president for the people who voted for me," like, no, even though the people who didn't vote for you are there, you still have to work within them. So I look at something like this, and I think this was not the best thing he could have done. Is it going to end in his impeachment? The 25th Amendment going to be invoked on him? No, this isn't going to do it. But it's an official statement from the President of the United States on a public platform. It's going to go down in the annals of history. And, people are going to look back on this and they're going to think, well, his legacy is one that's of these outbursts online and not that's actually going to be benefiting the country. And that is where his supporters come into play. People on the opposers aren't able to reach him, but you guys are. You guys are able to get more through to him, and that's where you guys got to make your comments known. So I am curious to know what you guys think about this. Did you think that this was going too far? Did you think it's perfectly fine? Do you think it's entirely presidential? It's not presidential. What do you recommend we do going forward? Do you think that the 25th Amendment will get him pulled out? These are things I am curious about. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.